Right quick, I want to deal with a subject entitled Why Preachers Don't Deal with Genesis. Why preachers really don't deal with the book of Genesis. A lot of preachers will preach the first and talk about the first part of Genesis, the opening, the creation. But when you get past the first 2 or 3 chapters, first and second chapter of Genesis, they really don't. I have never really heard any preachers, as long as I've been in church, as long as I've been listening to preaching on the radio, many different preachers, I have never heard them really go in depth in the book of Genesis. And there's a reason why. Genesis is almost something like Revelations. In my opinion, almost like the book of Revelation. There's some stuff. I even heard Joyce Meyer say, somebody asked her why she don't talk about the book of Revelation. Why she don't preach out of the book of Revelation. And she frankly said, it's one time that I really agree with something that Joyce Meyer said. She said, because I don't understand it. There are some stuff in the book of Revelation that is hard to understand. Just like there's some stuff in the book of Genesis that is hard to understand. Hard to grasp. You know, when you think about it, when you hear a lot of stuff in the book of Genesis, it's hard for your mind to wrap around it. We can understand how God created man. We can understand how God created heaven and earth. We can understand how God created the beasts, the animals. Can we not? To a certain extent. I have seen stuff on the Discovery channels, Discovery Channel, and I think I have seen some stuff on the Smithsonian Channel. That channel that deal with biblical issues, I think it's on the Discovery Channel, where they have been known oftentimes go back and try to replicate or try to dive into some of these stories of the Old Testament, and they'll try to go and recreate some of them things, or they'll talk about it, the scriptures and stuff in depth, and they, you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of in the middle road. It might be, I believe it done with good intentions, and sometimes it's done with bad intentions, because I have seen them try to talk about and explain how God created the animals. When the Bible says he created animals, they took them 2 by 2 and they multiplied. How Noah, and I remember seeing it say that God, some people try to say, well, it wasn't necessarily the animals themselves that was put on the ark that was supposed, but it was the DNA, some type of DNA. Somehow somebody tried to say the DNA of the animals. Now, if we want to talk about the animals that God created, the common animals that were named in the Bible, throughout the evolution, throughout time, from the beginning of time to now, recent years, there have been animals, even fishes, that have never been documented before, never have been seen throughout history. They have been discovered in the last recent years. They have no explanation where they came from. Some animals that were thought to be extinct that did exist at a certain period of time, that went extinct for thousands years, suddenly reappeared. It's been documented. But when you think about stuff in the Old Testament, in the book of Genesis, then you think about the History Channel and history of humans. You look at over in Egypt, the Great Pyramid walls and all. Y'all see how them people build those pyramids? They built them with them stones, them big old blocks. Do y'all know how much one of those blocks weigh? Do y'all know how much one of those blocks weigh today? Them blocks that they used to build them pyramids and all them tombs and all them underground systems, them blocks they cut out and carried miles from quarries, upriver, stuff like that. I have seen them do this on, it's Discovery. I think it was another channel, Discovery, Smithsonian, Science Channel. They would go and sometimes do something. They have tried to float some of them stones, them big old heavy blocks, on makeshift rafts. They try to go back and figure out how they did it back then. I have heard preachers of today say there were people that existed before Adam and Eve. People say that's add to the Bible, which you can say that because there's no record of human existence before Adam and Eve. The Bible say the world, the earth was void and without form before God moved. So on the record, we have to go with what the records say, Adam and Eve. But I heard Bishop Patrick Wooden say last year that there were people that existed before Adam and Eve. I heard some other people make reference to that. When you think about it, when you go outside the Bible and you start thinking, a lot of people kind of feel that way. A lot of people feel like that, not really necessarily discounting or disregarding what God said in the scriptures, but a lot of people have questions. A lot of people have died wondering about some of the stuff they have read in Genesis. I'm finna throw one at you. Let's look at Noah. Chapter 9. Verse 28. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. Verse 29. And all the days of Noah were 950 years. And he died. $950 years and he died. Noah lived to get 950. That's how old Noah was when he died. Now, is that the equivalent of what we call today? Even a lot of that is not fully understood. 950 years. There's some more in here. I think Methuselah, if I can find that verse, Methuselah lived to be the oldest. Because you always heard preachers make reference to Methuselah. Lived to get older than Methuselah. Methuselah lived to be the oldest person outside of Jesus. How old did Methuselah get? I might not be able to find this scripture right now. But we just go in Genesis and look at the ages. The Bible says Noah lived 950 years. Let me see, can I find one more right quick? You go to in Genesis around 11 chapter and all up through here, starting 11 chapter, you'll see all these ages. Some lived a long time. Some lived very shortly. And Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, Noah, and Haran. See what I'm saying? Some lived long time. Verse 23. And Serug, Serug, S-E-R-U-G, I don't know how you pronounce it, lived after he begat Noah 200 years and begat sons and daughters. Verse 21. And Reuel lived after he begat Serug 207 years. You see these years. Some live very long. Some live very short. 70 years. 70 years. Now, getting back to what I was talking about over there in Egypt, the great pyramids and stuff, I have seen them demonstrate and try to illustrate how they would, and try to figure out how did them people of that time build all them pyramids and do all that building like they did. What did they use? How did they transport that stuff? I seen them take some of them blocks and try to figure out, put them on a wheel system and and at that time they had manpower. Think about this. They had manpower. They didn't really have horsepower back in them time. At them time, they had manpower. And when you think about all that, you have to believe that those people were something like what we see with Samson. Each individual had to be able to lift at least 20 times their weight. Like we see today with ants. They say ants can lift up to what? They can lift twice their weight. No, ants can lift much more, 100 times their weight. We see this with ants. They count on, if you ever watch ants work, they come out in the army. Whatever they go and get, they transport. They put it on top of however they put it on top of their backs or however, and they lift and they carry it. They just work. If they find a food source or something, they gonna go however long, however far to get it, and bring it back to their den. Yeah, the book of Genesis. Preachers won't really dive. They will skip over this something and show you throughout the Genesis, but I never heard any preachers really go in and try to divide, because you see stuff like 900 some years. See what I'm saying? You see how the Bible say after the flood, when the flood happened, and after the flood, only Noah and his family was saved. The flood wiped out everybody else that wasn't in that ark. But then you see what Noah's sons done had wives. The Bible don't document where they got their wives from. The Bible really don't document how did them 3 sons repopulated the earth in what we have today. All these different nations, all these different tongues. I have heard preachers try to suggest where their wives came from. I heard preachers try to suggest this and suggest that. But a lot of stuff that we see in Genesis, that we read, that we see that just pop up and stuff, we have no background to it. A lot of people don't believe in the ark, the Noah ark. I have seen them do this on the Science Channel, Discovery Channel. They had tried to make a relic, an ark, and see the type of wood that was built. Some people said the ark is a lie. Some people say that's why Charles Darwin spent his life, I think I got his name right, trying to discount and disprove God to be a lie. He spent his life researching and trying to find the formula to how the earth and stuff was made. He just wouldn't accept the scriptures. The theory of evolution. They died. Him and a lot of others in the past died without a conclusion to their findings. They spent thousands, many years, lots of money researching, only to never come to a conclusion. Theories. That's why we got the theory of evolution. But that's why when we go in the book of Isaiah, around the 58th chapter, God said, my ways are not your ways, my thoughts are not your thoughts. Whatever God wants us to know, he revealed it to us. God having revealed everything to us. The Bible talks about a lot of stuff is not in the scriptures. Only enough what God wants us to know. In Genesis, I believe I have a lot of people that agree the book of Genesis is, if anybody could sit down and talk to God and talk to God a lot about something, I believe a lot of people will ask God about the book of Genesis. Because we see some stuff that we don't have no background to or no explanation. They try to draw a conclusion. A lot of preachers will touch this stuff and they just draw their own conclusion in their own explanations. That's why, how did 3 sons, where did their wives come from? How did them 3 sons were responsible for repopulating the earth and the people that we have today? All the different nations, all the different tongues. How did they do it? A lot of that stuff is a mystery. That book, Genesis, I believe the word of God. But anybody that will be honest and tell you, you can have thoughts and doubts about things. It's not a blasphemy to say God lied. That's not it. It's just you see some stuff that you can't wrap your mind. How did them people at that time do all that building, How long did they live? How much strength did they have? Getting back to them people, Egypt, them people that built all them pyramids, as big as they built them pyramids, and as deep as they, now you go down and go, they had all them tombs and all them tunnels. Now you think about all that stuff built underground, then pyramids. You know how heavy one of those blocks are? You know how heavy? It take a super heavy crane to lift one of them blocks today. Now you just think about them people at that time, I seen the stuff on the Science Channel, whatever, Discovery. Them people scratching their head trying to figure it out. How did they do it? Was them people extra strong, extraordinary people? Did the people that exist during that time, well, some people had said they were aliens and stuff like that. But were they super people, supernatural people, super people? They had to be. In order for them to do all that, the stuff, I never been over there to Egypt. I never been over at the country. But I seen on TV, and I believe, I see the stuff, it's real. It's real. I seen how they try to go back and recreate or figure out how God parted the Red Sea. They did it. They tried to do that. Couldn't figure it out. Basically, some of that stuff they showed on TV and them doing, they were basically calling it a lie. Some of it. I believe it. You know what I'm saying? That's the number one thing. We don't have to understand everything of the Bible. And the Bible already said we won't understand everything. But the point is, believe it. Believe that it, I believe what the Bible say, but, I still wonder sometimes about certain things in Genesis. Truth be told, a lot of people do. What happened when men live hundreds and hundreds of, Noah lived almost to be 1,000 years old. Is that it? What 1,000 years old? Is that the equivalency of 100 years now? What really changed? That stuff will always be a mystery. Nobody had the answers. Nobody had the answers. And we can't expect for everybody, the preachers. I don't care. I've seen some history professors, Bible teachers, Bible scholars. They'll spend years trying to research, and when it comes to the hard stuff for the Bible, stuff like that, back in it, they don't have the answers. It's a mystery. Even talking about the Noah Ark, they'll try to find out what type of wood. God, at that point in time, had a special type of wood provided for them. In special type of way, God gave them a special type of way to build an ark. Cause I seen that they try to build an ark and put it on water and figure out and what they built and the wood they used and stuff, it took on water. They were like, so how was something like that built that survived all that thrashing around and all that and survived? And we have evidence of the ark. A lot of people have discounted that. being in the mountains. They have went and found or scraped it out as much as possible. I think they found some type of rivets, very, very old rivets that they've been trying to analyze and can't figure out where did they come from. So I'm open to that. Anybody have any ideas and any more insight that can leave, y'all welcome to leave a comment, leave a post, talk about it.